So we'll go ahead and get started. And binary basics. So we all want to build a big business. People who are in ASEA, of course, for the business. And we have all the ways of getting paid. And it starts with a series of pay methods that are designed to get you income right at the very start. Those first 4 ways to get paid. You can get a paycheck really quick, within the first month, even to pay back what you might have started with your initial investment. Then these next steps are more middle level once you are building a larger group and where you might have 30, 40, 50 people in your group. These other ways of getting paid kick in. And the executive momentum pool is a new feature of the pay plan recently, within the past, 3 months. And it really rewards the people from bronze and up who are solid bronze. So it's later on in the pay plan. So we're not really doing a pay plan presentation here. And hopefully people have watched, if you're newer to ASEA, you have watched the compensation detail plans. And they are shown at these couple places. One is there; it's actually in a back office library. I believe it's on the front page too, where you can see a 40-minute, very good detail of the comp plan, and then a quick 10 or 11-minute overview of the comp plan is on amazingmolecules.com. And I have links to these also in A-Team support. Other resources getting the details. So this presentation is a flyover as far as the comp plan is concerned, but we're going to dig into more detail into the binary aspects of the comp plan. So to start with, let's just show how we have what's called a hybrid binary. Some people say, this or that company has a binary comp plan, but ASEA in particular has what's called a hybrid binary, and what it does is it combines the best elements of both the hybrid and what they call the unilevel. But let me just show you some illustrations. For a person who is what we would call a solid Director 300, that means they qualify as Director 300 pretty much every week of the month. They're going to be earning a very nice part-time income on the order of $500 a month. And you can see where this is coming from. The biggest part is going to be coming from, or at least initially, like your director bonus, mentor bonuses now with the new pool, the new mentor bonus promotion, and perhaps one preferred customer, maybe two. But the biggest piece of the pie is going to come from the fast starts, which is your group building, your activity sponsoring, and the people that you sponsor their activity sponsoring contribute to the fast start. And you can see now the binary part of the pie, the green, is actually not less than a quarter at this point. And that's because the binary is based on numbers of people who are enjoying the ASEA product. So when you're starting out, you don't have so many numbers. And that's why as you get a bigger organization, the binary grows. So the point is, again, it's not a binary comp plan at this point. It's mostly what would be called a unilevel. And now let's jump to a solid platinum. Again, someone who is qualifying, being the platinum rank every week of the month, is going to probably most likely average on the order of $10,000 a month. And see how, again, the pieces of the pie come in. The fast start now is a small, well, the preferred customer is here, very small. Fast starts kind of pretty much stay the same because the activity stays the same of people coming in. But the binary grows because your group has grown. And the unilevel parts of the check match, for example, now that start at bronze, the check match is going to be a significant portion of your income as you get up at these higher levels. And then the new executive momentum pool can be a significant piece of the pie too, which is, again, a unilevel. It's based on your personal group. So let's just go through this now and again, the idea of this is, especially for new people, I'll just start with the kind of a disclaimer that details of the comp plan can take some time to absorb, even though I had been in the industry for 15, 20 years. When I was first exposed to a binary or a hybrid binary, it takes time to wrap your head around it. So it's not something we understand right away, but these things hopefully will help you kind of get your head wrapped around it. That's the point of this. So let's look at this family, what we call first the family tree, which is not the binary. This is your direct sponsorship line, where you, for example, sponsor Ann, Burke, Bob, Kurt, and Dave. And they're your level 1 in the family tree, the sponsorship tree, like your children. And then Dave, or let's just say Ann sponsors 4 people, the green people here, and Kurt sponsors 4 green people. They're level 2 to you in the family tree, in the sponsorship tree, like your great-grandchildren, and so on. If you go down a 3rd level, some of the green people sponsor these orange people. They're level 3 to you, like your great-grandchildren. So let's see how this looks side by side to the binary. So you can see now the binary means 2. You only have 2 legs. So those 4 people you sponsored are going to be placed into those 2 legs in order of when they enrolled. So here, let's take another look, the 2nd level down. When your new people sponsor the green people, you can see over here on the binary side how these green people are placed in a new binary tree underneath Ann and Kurt, the people who sponsored them. And again, this is just a flyover. We'll get into something a little more detail that'll help here in a minute. Then when these orange people come in, the 3rd level in the sponsorship family tree, they're going to make little binary trees, well, not hopefully big binary trees, underneath Ann and Kurt, underneath the green people that sponsored them. So it gets very exciting when this starts happening in your group and you see your binary tree filling in and expanding like that. So that gives you a side by side, but what we're going to do is go back to just the binary now and kind of show you some things that help you understand the binary in particular. So binary means 2, and the general idea of the binary is the way we work the binary is we want to sponsor only on the very outside left and the outside right, which you could look at like a Christmas tree, a paper 2-dimensional Christmas tree, and we're just putting ornaments on the very outsides of the tree. The thing I'd like to say about this, to illustrate perhaps the power of the binary, the power of 2, and if someone offered you 10,000 cash today, or a penny doubled every month, every day for a month, what do you think would be the best choice? Well, you can take your pick here if you haven't heard this before. Let's show you. Let's show you what it would be here. Yeah, you don't have to answer that. In your mind, you can answer it. So let's look at this penny doubled. It starts out as 1 penny and then a whopping 2 pennies on day 2, 4 pennies on day 3. But look what happens here. As time proceeds, that penny doubled is indeed going to be a better choice than the $10,000 up front. because the penny double is going to give you over 5 million bucks over those 30 days. So that can be put into a illustration more appropriate to network marketing. Well, I'm not going to say it's appropriate because it really isn't, but let's just show you this example. So month 1, you become a director where you sponsor 2. In month 2, you teach your 2 new associates to become directors. They each sponsor 2, and everybody's on just 1 case of AutoShip. And if this duplicated perfectly, it is very similar to the penny duplicating, where after a year you'd be maxing out your binary and making a ton of money. However, what we're doing here is just illustrating the power of 2. This never happens in reality where it duplicates perfectly. It would be great if it did, but even if you get 5 or 10% of this, it would be significant. So just to illustrate the power of 2, that base level of director. So now let's get into building the binary. And what I'll say here is the example I'm doing here is I'm just going to put a person left and then right, left, right, left, right, which is not necessarily the way the computer would do it. Well, it's not the way the computer would do it, and it's not the way you would want to do it. But I'm just doing it that way because it just to illustrate points. So this is not a placement thing in that regards. As far as strategy of placing, it's just left and right. So let's just say you are here and you sponsor your first 2 people and become director. Left, this is a J for Joe, if you can see it. And let's just say Joe sponsors his first person, number 2 here, purple. And we're going to have some key points we're going to come out with here, 4 or 5 key points. And the first key point is that the first builder is placed on the upline team leg, and we're just going to explain that more later. So we'll come back to that point. So here Joe sponsors his second person. So now Joe's director. And it has a little Christmas tree building underneath your Christmas tree. So let's just say you sponsor 2 new people. 1, 1. And let's just say that Joe sponsors 2 new people. You can see they're going underneath Joe's little Christmas tree. And we're just going to go ahead and continue this. 2 more sponsored by you. And let's just say Joe, the person that Joe sponsored, this number 2, sponsors someone. And you can see this person placed down here. So this brings up another key point here. That in the binary, the new people are placed at the bottom. They're always at the bottom. There's no way around that. And what that does is it brings in an element of timing. So, for example, when you introduced Joe, he said, well, I think I'm just going to try the product here and see if I like it, and then join later as I wish. And so Joe doesn't join for like 2 or 3 or 4 months. Well, it turns out that all the people that you placed here would have if Joe joined early, they would have counted. They do count the Joe's binary volume. That's what some people call it spillover, where you're going to be sponsoring people. They have to go either right or left. So some of these people are going to go underneath someone. That's called spillover from above. So the point is that if Joe came in earlier when it first started, he would have the advantage of that extra volume, that extra spillover. So when we bring someone in to ASEA, or when we're prospecting a person and they're about ready to join, we could tell them, I don't like to make a big point out of it, but there is a time element here, and it's to your advantage to get in earlier sooner rather than later, because I'm going to be sponsoring some more people who would be placed under you, and that's to your advantage. something simple like that. So we don't, we don't make it a big pressure point, but we let the person know. So there is an element of timing there. So let's look at another point here. Let's just say that you wanted to put a person here under Joe on what we call the inside leg, Joe's inside leg. So the rule is, no, we don't do that. That person would go only on the outside of the tree. But let's talk about this a little bit, to figure out why that is the case. And there's really 2 or 3 reasons. The first reason is, if you are already putting some people on the outside, this outside leg underneath of Joe, if you start putting people on the inside leg of Joe, it's essentially building his business for him. And I'm a believer in welfare, in the respect that people who are really down and out need help to get started again. But there is a thing known as a known whatever fact or whatever, that there is such a thing as a welfare status, where some people kind of get sucked into it and expect all the work to be done to them, and they don't really build their own business. So that's the main reason. If Joe is getting help, if he wants to really build his business, he can build his other leg for sure. Now, let me just say a second point about this, and about spillover in general, is, again, binary means 2, and we all start the business with the expectation that we got to build both our legs, 2 legs. That's the starting point. And the fact is that on the order of 50% of the people in this business do build both their legs. And the reason is because they might not have an active upline who is sponsoring actively. So we all want to expect that we do build 2 legs, but at the same time, we're going to show you, if you do have an active upline, how we can take a little bit advantage of that spillover. That's where we're going to get to here also. And I can say that we personally have the most wonderful upline in the world, but we haven't had one person of spillover from above ourselves. So, and we've been in other companies where in the unilevel pay plans, where to get a significant, basically a full-time or above income, you have to have like 3 significant legs, or 6, typically maybe even 6 significant legs. And by significant, I mean the level of like at least bronze and above, significant legs. So having only to do 2 legs is kind of a joy in that regards. Now, of course, we do have, as we get to bronze, we need director 300 legs, but they're not, they are significant, but they're not as high a level as what we're talking about on this other one. So I just jumped. I was telling you about why only on the outside of the tree, and I jumped into the talk about binary and spillover there. So the second reason, the first reason was, welfare type thing. We don't want to create that for Joe. But the second reason we don't put people on Joe's inside leg is, let me think about that. No, that's it. That's pretty much it there. So there's really only that main reason. So let's go, this is the one that gets a little more explanation. So remember at the beginning, we talked about the first builder, we call it a builder, someone who's going to do the business. We like to place on what we would call the upline team leg. So let's see what that means. So in this case, here's Joe. What we might call his upline team leg is the leg that he shares with his upline, which is you. That's just a way of stating it. Different people call it different things. Now, Joe is going to build his own team leg here. That's one way of looking at this. Whoops, shoot. I didn't mean to click there. I just have to go through this again. Excuse me 1 second. So just not talk while I'm doing this to make sure I don't go past it again. Okay, so first builder, Joe's upline team leg, Joe's team leg. So here we are again. So we're talking about why first builder on the upline team leg. So Joe put his, and the computer does this, it puts the first person you sponsor on what would be called the upline team leg. Now there's 2 or 3 reasons for this. One is there's a statistic, and I'm not sure the exact number, but it's something like 50% of people who join a networking business in general only sponsor one person maybe. And you know, they're mostly enjoying the product and they decide they really don't want to do the business, essentially. So it's better to have that person not be alone on an inside leg, even though everybody's expected to build 2 legs. It's nicer if they are on an outside leg to have the synergy of the group. The second reason is it actually can be to Joe's advantage, assuming Joe's going to reach bronze and above, to have his business builder on this upline leg and sharing the synergy of that leg, because Joe gets paid on check match on the success of his person. So that's a second reason. Third reason is to pay back that team leg. So Joe has some benefit, depending on how much spillover there is, of a team leg. So he wants to pay that back. And it's also required, of course, that you need at least 1 person on each binary leg. So that just kind of skims through some reasons, but I don't like to overemphasize the idea of this spillover because not everybody gets it, and it's not to be expected. But when you do get it, we want to know how to take advantage of it. And the reason it is a little bit of an advantage, depending, is if you are getting spillover and you do have some more people on this side, Joe can focus more on this side to build his leg and get. What that does is it gets him a little quicker up in the binary, but it does not help any of the unilevel aspects of pay. So fast start, executive momentum pool, check match are based on your personal group and the personal group volume. So that's why I showed you some of that in the beginning, that the binary isn't everything. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like in the back office briefly. Here's a little bit of a tree, and here is your outside left leg and your outside right leg. And this is in the detail, the binary graphics report. This is what that looks like, and we tell people not to really use this, but unless you know what you're doing. But you can actually place people in your, you can enroll people and place them in your tree exactly where you want by clicking on the gray circles of these of this report. And bottom line is we 99% of the time you don't sponsor on the inside legs, only on the very outside left and right, like we said. So let's take one more look at that difference between binary and sponsorship. And like I said, the binary is, people call it the binary commissions, but it's a team commissions. That's the way they say it. On the paperwork, I see it says it in the papers. And in the sponsorship view, the family tree, the fast start and check match and the new executive momentum pool are based on the family tree. So again, that points out that hybrid aspect. So we're going to end it here. We are at about 30 minutes, just right on. And then we can get into as much detail as we want with people asking questions. But again, for people who are brand new, I can understand how this type of stuff, information, can be overwhelming. Whenever we get into anything new, whether it's starting a part-time job at the corner grocery store, there's a week or two or three or whatever, at least, of getting your head wrapped around what's going on. So that's why I'm going to end here with some basic concepts to take away. And the first basic concept is very easy, in the sense that the computer takes care of a lot of this, and it does a pretty good job when the computer placement, which means when you have a person enroll under you in a SIA, the computer placement, which is the default, will place the person in the left or right leg, binary leg, with some pretty good guidelines, pretty good rules that are built into the computer. However, so that means if a person joins, for example, through your Team ASEA website, the placement by the computer will be generally very good. But still, we want to get with your knowledgeable upline. You want to get with your knowledgeable upline when sponsoring your first people, and afterwards is needed, because there are some considerations that the computer doesn't know about. For example, if you have a group of people that you're prospecting, and the group all knows each other, they're all from the same town, they're in the same whatever family tree, real family. It's good to have the people in the same leg, one above the other, essentially, and because of the synergy it develops, and people get to work with each other. And that can't be 100% rule. At some point it's going to have to split, but it's nice to do that as much as possible. And then people out of town or out of the family, would incorporate into the other leg, your other leg. So that's one example where the computer doesn't know about all that, and your knowledgeable upline can help you with that. The second thing I'm going to say is, if there is a misplacement or a mistake, it's very easy to change from left to right, but you want to do it quickly, hopefully within the first 3 business days. And there's a form to do that, or you call support and they'll get you to help with that, or you can get with your upline diamond and they'll help you. They'll get you with support to do that. Let me see here. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that point. So then if you do have an upline team leg, like we showed, you place at least your first business builder in it for the reasons discussed. And that's what the computer will, the computer will place your first person in there, the upline team leg. And then you continue on as needed to balance the legs as far as the binary, because when you have balanced volume between your left and right binary leg, that's when you get your maximum payout from it. But remember, you're always assuming you're active with 100 points of volume in every 5 weeks, or if you're on auto ship, remember you don't lose any of your volume, it all banks. So either way, it's a good deal. And then you continue on as needed to balance the legs, like I said. But and the final general rule is you don't give away sponsorship of someone. So in general, but the exceptions are that if both you and your downline are prospecting the same person, you generally defer to your downline, unless your downline really is not active. I mean, they might know the same person, but if they're not really going to be doing the business, then you don't want to give away sponsorship necessarily. So by giving away sponsorship, that means there's a difference between placement and sponsorship. So sponsorship is sponsorship. You're the one who directly sponsors the person. Placement, and you can sponsor someone and place them underneath the other person, and they still get that spillover, and that other person would still get the benefit of it. Okay, so there is a couple more slides here. I'll just end with what you might call some steps to success. And this is with a pretty accelerated time frame. Not everybody's going to do that, but why not go for it? When you have a new person come in, if they become director within 14 days, they get their their $50 director's bonus. And let's just assume that I join with the 4 case, because I want to have the advantage of the paying for 3 but getting 4. And it's going to be 1 for me, 1 for my wife for the first month. Then I'm going to have 2 cases to keep in inventory, a rotating inventory. So that's my 4 case startup, which cost about $450, counting taxes and shipping. So I bring in 2 people and they both start with the 4 case like I did. 160 fast start, 50 director bonus. And say within that first month, you help your 2 people to become director themselves, and they get the director bonus. You would be director 300, and you would get some more fast start from you and the people underneath of you as a director 300. Basically this amount of money. You total, just with that, $450 in the first month, make your money back. Not that it's a business investment totally, because you're enjoying the product too that you bought. Entry cost returned, and that's not counting the new mentoring bonuses. You would actually get another $100 because you've helped 2 people become director in 14 days. So then the next steps after these initial fast starts, you could call them, would be to go for bronze and start your check match. This is longer term. For most people, it's at least, a minimum of 3 months, but more like 6 to 9 months or more to get to bronze. And then next, you could call it an intermediate step, would be to solidify that bronze position to start getting your check match. EMP, executive momentum pool. And of course, from there on to the higher executive levels in Diamond. So that's kind of a quick starting thing. And the starting position really is director, and hopefully within 14 days. That is a nice thing to put out for people. Not everybody's going to do it, but that starting base of director, no matter whether it's 14 or not, is really the key to building a large group and having it duplicate down and building a group to your success in this business. So it'll develop to solid director 300s and bronze pluses, etc. So that's it. I'm going to